Super important topic today, how to deal with stress in your sales job. Maybe I'm the only one, but I get stressed out from time to time and it is not a good feeling. To me, stress means feeling out of control, feeling like my circumstances are not in my favor, and it leads to a lot of mental uncertainty and anxiety. Think of a situation to put you in the right frame of mind. You got dinner reservations at 7 p.m. You're sitting on the couch because you're a guy, you're ready to go. Your girlfriend's in the bathroom getting ready, finalizing whatever she got to be doing. It's 6:48, so you need to leave. The restaurant's 15 minutes away, and you still have friends that you're driving that aren't quite at your place yet. You're not going to get to your reservation on time, and a situation like that would cause me a lot of stress. I would start to get anxious, I would start to sweat, I would start to be a lot more short-fused, short-tempered with the people around me, and it leads to quick and erratic decisions. And imagine that situation times 5 to 10, and that is what you will encounter on a daily basis in your sales job. So if you're not already signed up for sales, make sure to go to apply to your dream sales job right now. And then while you're at it, subscribe to this channel because we talk daily sales videos. And if you have 1 second, I'll give it to you now. Go ahead and hit the like button below. Thanks so much for doing that. How to deal with stress in your sales job. I see this in a lot of reps, new reps, old reps, really reps of all ages and experience. They get stressed out and they start to ask themselves, is sales for me? As soon as you start to recognize, hey, these deals are so hard to close, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much that can go wrong, there's so much out of my control that begins to manifest, which results in unfavorable outcomes, you start to get a little anxious and you start to think, if this deal doesn't close, I'm not gonna hit my quota. I haven't heard back from that prospect in 2 weeks. What's the situation? I don't feel very good about this. And you feel stressed. You feel like you don't have control. You feel like you don't control your destiny. And that's why a lot of people end up quitting sales in favor of other professions that are less stressful, other fields like customer success or solution strategy, roles that don't require you to feel quite as stressed. Stress can be a good thing because if you have deadlines or if you need to feel great urgency, then you start to feel stressed, your heart starts to beat, you start to feel a little anxious, and you start to work towards and take action towards what you need to accomplish. But general stress, when you're just sitting there on a Tuesday afternoon saying, man, these deals, if they don't close, I'm done for. That's when you start to get to a dangerous place. And when I first started my software sales career as a sales development representative, I would get stressed out a lot. I would think, what do people think of me? I would overanalyze what I said throughout the day. And then especially when I was in a position to promote from SDR to account executive, I needed a certain amount of deals I sourced to close. And I didn't actually run the deals. All I did was source the pipeline. So it resulted in an immense amount of stress because I felt like I didn't have control of what was going on, and I would anxiously refresh my Salesforce. I would reach out to the reps. I'd say, where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? I would care so much about the outcome, and I refused to accept that I didn't have some control. What I've learned over my 3 years in software sales and how I deal with stress now is there's a couple things, but the number one tip is you must take control of everything. You must take ownership. There's a book by Jocko Willink called Extreme Ownership, and it talks about having discipline that equals freedom and you taking ownership for everything in your life. So you're driving on the road, you get a fender bender. Although you may think, wow, that other person's so stupid, they screwed up, it's their fault. You got to take control and accept responsibility and say it's your fault. If you don't hit your quota, you can't blame it on the inbound team not bringing you enough leads and your teammate getting lucky and you being out on that vacation for 2 weeks and you didn't hit your quota and you attest it to bad luck or not the right time. It's summer during COVID. Those are all excuses. You got to take control for everything. And the reason you feel stressed is because you feel like you're out of control. And by taking responsibility and ownership for everything in your life, it will result in decreased levels of stress. It's important to note that sales is a game of probabilities. You cannot have a 100% certainty outcome. Something from the show Billions, I am not uncertain. They say that when they're totally certain about the outcome, such as insider trading or whatever they're doing. In sales, you cannot be totally certain. There is always risk, there is always uncertainty, there are always factors out of your control. With that being said, you need to recognize that sales is a probabilities game, and a lot of people like gambling, and gambling causes a lot of stress. Luckily in sales, you have the ability to control and alter the probability by adding value, by following up, by doing whatever you got to do to really box out the competition and trap set, you can increase your probability. And once you accept ownership, you'll start to feel more free. In your life, don't make excuses. It's easier for me to say that because you're dealing with a particular set of circumstances that may be way worse than mine or may be way better than mine. But here's the kicker. I read a book called Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl, German psychologist, was taken from his home and had to participate in the Holocaust. He was Jewish, he was brought to a concentration camp, and he lived in incredibly inhumane and quite unfavorable circumstances relative to our normal modern day standards. It talked about the horrific nature the Nazis would treat these guys, and it was terrible. This is to say that he survived and wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning and talked about how he was able to find meaning through the suffering. He said, the last of really, I forget the exact quote, but he said, the only thing man has total control over is how you think and really how you feel and how you act. And when circumstances and situations present themselves, you, of course, naturally, based on your amygdala, fight or flight, you may initially feel a feeling of stress, uncertainty, I don't know, but you have the ability to control how you decide to act. So rather than saying, I have to go to the grocery store, say, I choose to go to the grocery store. When you're wondering if your deal is going to close and if you're going to hit a quota, accept responsibility for it. If it closes, you hit. If it doesn't close, you don't hit. You got to accept responsibility for that and take ownership of everything in your life. And by thinking like this will result in less stress and it will improve your happiness. And I can test it would improve your sales performance as well. So I would encourage you to go back and listen to some of these points. Go take control today. Thanks so much for watching this video. Drop a like below if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this with a friend who needs it. And I will see you in the next video.